Welcome. In front of me is a Samsung Galaxy S23 FE, and today I'll go over unboxing of it and a quick look at the device. Anyway, let's just get straight into it. I did grab a knife, but it looks like it's absolutely redundant considering you do have the pull tabs right here. There we go. So in here we will have some paperwork and our charging cable. Okay, that's the side with paperwork. Oh wait, there's also the cable. So it's right here. So anyway, I'm not gonna really take that out. We all know how a cable looks like. Then we get the phone and, well, that's it. And there we go. So now that it's out of the box, let's turn it on. Come on. There we go. Now looking at the color of it, geez, it looks... The colors recently have not really been hitting the spot, at least in my opinion. So most of the manufacturers do have like these faded colors, like they're basically like Jerry Rig described it, sunburned. So yeah, this just kind of, I don't know, doesn't hit the correct spot for me. But obviously it's preferential, so if you like it, that's fantastic. Now, next thing, we can now see the display, so let's talk about it. Now, this is a 6.4-inch display running a resolution of 1080 by 2340 pixels. So it's basically a 1080p resolution. It is also a AMOLED display running at 120 Hz refresh rate with HDR10 Plus certification and a peak brightness of 1450 nits. So it can get pretty bright, and it also will have nice contrast ratios with the AMOLED display, and also a fairly nice smooth just experience considering it is running 120 Hz. So everything here, at least in terms of the display, is pretty good. One thing that I personally don't think it's too good is the bezels right here. Now they might not be as big as some other devices, but it just kind of looks bigger than I think it should because of the silver frame of the device and then the black borders. So it does create this distinct kind of separation, and I think just in terms of perspective, it makes it look like a chunkier device or chunkier bezels than what it actually has. So I think it might have been just a bit of a mistake to do this. But like I said, it's just aesthetics. I do like the device to have minimal bezels. Obviously this doesn't look like it, but it is boasting a 83.2% screen to body ratio. So it's not as good as some devices. It's also not super bad, but it is on a lower end in terms of like current day standards. Now let's talk about the internals. So this device comes with the Samsung's Exynos processor. This is the 2200 processor. It also has an 8GB built-in RAM with 128 GB of storage or 256 gigs of storage with no expandable storage, unfortunately, which I can showcase. Well, saying showcase, I'm just going to showcase literally nothing, or the lack of a feature. But I guess it's Samsung, so I might as well. So here we go. We do have the dual SIM support and no SD card at all. Okay. Now continuing on, the battery in here, even though this is a 6.4-inch display, it is only at 4500 milliamps, and that is on a, well, I would say lower end considering what would be the standard nowadays, which is something along the lines of 5000. And in terms of charging speeds, this device actually picks up in terms of charging speed compared to some other devices, but it's still on a lower end at only 25 watts. Now they do advertise that it can charge your device to 50% in 30 minutes. So there we go. It also supposedly has wireless charging. Let me just kind of make some space with my coffee in the box. Yep, so it does. Now don't really have a way to showcase this. It's a little bit off the screen, and my Qi charger is literally mounted under this desk. Obviously there's just a little mark on my table for this, but hopefully you did hear the sound. It did start charging. And in any case, so we do have wireless charging, though it's not really rated or displaying how fast it will charge. Now, sticking with the charging speeds and all that stuff, the reason I'm pointing this out a little bit more in depth is because this device isn't necessarily the cheapest. It is about $500, and it comes with 25-watt charging speed. Now, for at least this one, it's not as big of a middle finger as some other Samsung devices. So as an example, I'm going to bring my phone here. So there we go, $1,800 device, and it charges actually slower than this garbage. So this charges at, what was it, 23 watts, I think? $1,800 device. And it's basically charging as fast as budget phones. So yeah, I have basically zero respect for Samsung in terms of charging speeds. I understand they're probably trying to prevent their devices from blowing up, but hell, if you can't make a good battery that doesn't blow up, maybe you shouldn't be selling shit. That's just kind of my opinion here. Anyway, continuing on out of the battery realm, let's talk about the cameras. It is a Samsung, so they usually try to push the envelope with cameras, though this is their FE lineup, so don't expect that you're going to be getting as good of a photos as, for instance, the S23 Ultra or other devices. This is the more toned down version, the cheaper one. It is basically over $500 cheaper compared to the 23 Ultra. So, you know, tone down the expectations. But with that being said, the cameras right here, at least the main one, is a 50 megapixel f1.8 24mm wide lens with PDAF and optical image stabilization. Then we got an 8 megapixel f2.4 75mm telephoto lens, PDAF as well, optical image stabilization, and 3x optical zoom. And then below that we have a 12 megapixel f2.2 123 degree ultra wide lens. Now with those cameras, you can shoot videos at 8K, 24 frames, 4K at 30 and 60 frames, and obviously 1080p, same thing, with slow motion of 120 and 240. And if you drop your resolution to 720p only, you can shoot slow motion at 960 frames. Now moving on to the front selfie camera, this is a 10 megapixel f2.4 26mm wide lens that can record at 4K 30 and 60 and 1080p 30 and 60 with gyroscopic electronic image stabilization. So there we go. Another thing here, which isn't necessarily probably visible, is I'm pretty sure it comes with under display, fingerprint sensor. So you do have basically the sensor right there. We do have our power buttons and volume buttons on the same side right here on the right side. At the top we have the SIM tray, microphone, some antennas right here. Actually just here. And this is just the little sticker that is on here to protect the edges. And then, okay, there's the second antenna and another one's.
To enable accessibility
Whoa,
mode,
no.
continue holding the screen with 2 fingers.
Yeah, no. Anyway, then we have our Type-C charging port, speakers, and that's about it. So there we go, that's the device. So it's basically another one of those Samsung FE versions where they do cut on costs a little bit to try to give people a little bit more reasonably priced device with still decent specs. And outside of the fact that Samsung has been notorious for giving the shittiest value for your money, I don't think this is necessarily that bad. I will check one part because this is the Exynos processor, right? So I have no clue how it actually compares to some other processors that aren't Exynos. Exynos in the past hasn't been necessarily the best processor. So I want to see how it compares to Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. That's what I will be comparing it to, Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. And the reason for this comparison is because at this price range there is probably a better value for the money device. Let me just quickly make sure. So what I'm probably about to recommend is going to be Poco F5 Pro. So I want to check the price first before I say anything. Yeah, it's cheaper. Oh, it's actually even better processor. So that being said, if you don't mind Chinese brands, I have been kind of recommending this device a lot because there are two versions of it, and one is a little bit higher tier than the other one. So it's the Poco F5 and F5 Pro. The one I will be comparing to this one is the F5 Pro, which is going to be better than this device. And it is running a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, so the overclocked, basically last generation Snapdragon. And it is going to be a better processor that is going to be faster. Now, based on the nanoreview.net, where they have benchmarks for these processors, at least the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, not the Plus version of it, compared to the Exynos 2200, which is in this device, they are about the same. Though in CPU performance, Exynos falls a little bit behind with a score of 64 compared to the 71 of the Exynos. And that is basically also the kind of common trait right here, that it does fall in the rest of the benchmarks like gaming performance, couple points behind. So it's 87 to 90, battery life 86 to 87, and nano review score 87 to 80 or 78 to 82. So outside of the CPU performance alone, it is going to fall behind, not by much in other aspects. Just the CPU performance alone is the bit slower portion. Now, with that being said, the reason I recommend the Xiaomi Poco F5 Pro, even though it's a Chinese brand, it is still being sold in basically, I believe, US as well. Hopefully, I think. But it actually costs less, being at about $440, so it is cheaper than this device, while offering you bigger battery, better spec'd device, faster processor, bigger megapixel camera, though that doesn't always translate to better photos. Something that you will need to look into if this will actually interest you to check out this device. But also the resolution of the device will be higher, the display size is bigger, the display type is the same, but it's running, well, actually, the display is very similar. It does boast 68 billion colors though, which this device I don't think did. But other than that, refresh rates, display type, supports like HDR10+, brightnesses are basically the same. The only difference is the Xiaomi has a actual higher resolution display, which will result in a sharper image on your device. So obviously might be interesting to some people. And storage types will be faster right there. Cameras, like I said, maybe hit or miss. That's something that you might need to check out. But one last thing that I'm going to point out, charging speed of the device with a bigger battery. It comes with a 67 watt charger in the box, unlike this. And it supposedly charges that bigger battery to 50% in half the time, which is 15 minutes. So that's why I'm kind of comparing these two devices. It is a clear winner, the Poco F5 Pro compared to this one. So I would recommend picking that one up unless you are kind of already stuck in the Samsung ecosystem and you have a bunch of other Samsung devices, so it makes it, easier to back up, restore them, and do all that stuff. Then obviously you probably will be interested in this and probably nothing else. But if you are open to some other suggestions, I highly recommend checking the Poco F5 Pro, as on paper and well in hand, it's going to be a better device. The only place where it might not be better will be the custom skin experience. Samsung does add a couple more features to their OS. So we do have things like the little sidebars right there for our apps on Samsung, and we have some other features that some devices, or a lot of devices, don't have. If it's not made by Google, then and it's basically implemented by Samsung, it's probably going to be only found on Samsung. And some companies do copy some of the Samsung ideas, like the sidebars and all that stuff. So just something to point out. Now, I do also want to say the OS for Samsung is pretty good, but their hardware I feel like if you're planning to, for instance, unlock the bootloader on this device and maybe load it up with some custom OS right here, then yeah, altogether skip this device. Samsung has never been good for loading up custom OSs because Samsung wants you to, use theirs so they can gather data on you. And if you try to, diverge from their vision of selling you overpriced device that isn't actually yours, they punish you by, for instance, disabling cameras on your device. So if your bootloader is unlocked, not even like flashed, and you're not using different OS, you just have it unlocked. You use things like the Samsung, their security knocks. Use the knocks, you don't have the cameras, and certain features, for instance, like bank applications, will basically cease to work because the device is now apparently not secure. So just something to keep in mind if you're planning to do a little bit more with such a device. Anyway, with that being said, hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, don't forget to smash like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.